Woo! HHN announcement season is heating up fast, and we are now under 70 days until opening day. So we've got a whole new wave of updates to talk about, including construction and what could potentially be the House of the Year Plus. We're making some big predictions on how this event is shaping up to be, so stick around, grab a snack, and let's get into it.
Now, before we jump into anything, I do want to preface this video by saying that this is going to be predictions that are going to be more guided towards your HHN experience as a whole, all of it based off of official announcements and our decade plus of experience coming to HHN. None of this is on unofficial announcements or speculation. However, I will say stick around, because some of the things that we're going to talk about today might directly impact your experience at HHN this year. Might, maybe, predictions, big asterisk. But before anything, we do need to check out the Five and Dime to see if there's any new merch after the announcement that was made yesterday at Spooky Empire, which we will get into in just a little bit. Ooh, the Mega Movie Parade is about to begin. But we are not here for Mega Movie stuff today. We are here for HHN, and like we are seeing, at least in the front center of the store,
we're still seeing the same thing we saw for the Jason Universe announcement.
However, I do want to say that they did put back up the old first original shirts, the first ones that came out for the season. And speaking of that, now that we have a little bit of a better idea of what the theming for HHN is going to be this year, which we're going to get into, the vines here.
It
actually starts to make sense. It's a cohesive idea now, instead of just being like, oh, what are the vines for?
We have a better idea. And not just the shirts, though. Got a couple of things that we want to point out, starting with number one, just the overall Gothic architecture that we're seeing. We're seeing the gargoyles, we're seeing the vines, we're seeing the walls, and you see the architecture everywhere. Oh, look, we've got Shaggy over here.
Hi.
Shaggy, what do you think? Do you like the design?
Like, that is like the scariest thing I think I've ever seen.
You want to check it out?
This mirror is having like a bad
day.
There
you go. Now that the search for merch is officially over, let's talk about the first round of major HHN updates, because we are now in a new phase of HHN season. Call your grandma, baby, because we've got lighting rigs. We've got one. We're in the Central Park area, by the way. So we've got 5 different lighting rigs. And come here, let me show you. To you, if you are not familiar with HHN, this is your first time, welcome to the channel, first of all. But to you, this might look like a silly piece of metal, but to us HHN fans, this is the first round of construction and indicating that the event is coming to life slowly. Now, we don't know if these lighting rigs indicate that this is going to be where they stay during the HHN season, or if they're going to move into the Central Park area. But nonetheless, this is very exciting for us.
It is very hot. So let's get some water and get to that first prediction. Is that your prediction?
What?
Is that your prediction?
No. Prediction number one. Let's talk about Premium Scream Night. Premium Scream Night is going to be different this year for 2 reasons. One is a little bit more obvious. If you haven't already heard, this year for the first time, you can wear costumes to Premium Scream Night. That is to say, that is only for that one night only, not for the rest of the HHN season, so keep that in mind. And number 2, this year, the crowds are going to be a little bit heavier than they were last year, and that is because it is a lot more popular. If you look through the interwebs, people that we've been talking to personally, everybody, first of all, who went last year cannot stop talking about how amazing the event is. Staggered entry, all you can eat food. A lot of people who are skeptical are purchasing tickets, and they're selling, from what we've heard, like hotcakes. Now, it is not officially sold out yet at the time of this recording. We predict once Freak of Fear passes are made available, a lot of people are going to start making bigger decisions, and there's going to be a big chance that we think that this Premium Scream Night year is going to be sold out. So if you haven't made a decision yet, make sure you do so soon, because you never know. You could miss out.
Prediction number 2 comes with a foreshadowing right here, and that is it is going to be a very stormy season. And what I mean by that is, well, it's actually twofold. Number one, if you are a fan of HHN, you are very, very, very familiar with the corn curse. If you are not, then let me just bring you a little bit up to speed. There is a huge superstition within the HHN community that every time corn is involved in the event at some capacity, it just so happens that hurricanes reach the Orlando area. The event has to shut down for a day or so. It's like a whole thing. So every single time that corn is involved in the event, the HHN community tends to get a little weary. Why I bring up the corn curse is because Fallout is an official IP coming to HHN Orlando. And well, Orlando and Hollywood, but we're talking about Orlando specifically right now. And within the Fallout series, we do have Vault 33, which is basically centered around the corn crop inside this vault. And based off of what we know that we will be seeing inside this house per IGN interviews with Universal Creatives, is that we will be at some capacity inside of Vault 33. So what does this mean for the corn crop within this vault? Does this mean that we're gonna get some real corn? Does this mean that it's going to be maybe just realistic looking corn? Will the corn curse live on if it is not real corn? That is a question that I have. Now that is a little bit more on the light-hearted superstition side. The real reason why is that reports have come out from weather professionals stating that this is going to be an above average hurricane season for 2025. And while we do get that every year, we have seen that year after year, these storms are just getting worse and worse. If you are coming to the event, especially in September, be prepared for some rain.
And speaking of Fallout, our next prediction is that this is going to be a sleeper IP, the sleeper of the year, in fact. If you've seen our previous video, at the very end, we were talking about how much potential a Fallout house really has for this event. Number one being that we watched the show, so if you haven't yet, please make sure that you check that show out. I don't know how many times I can emphasize that. It is an 8-episode series, so very quick watch. But there's so many spooky scenes in the show itself. And not just that, but a recent IGN interview with both creative minds from both coasts, John Murdy and Matt Flood from here in Orlando, gave us some details from the house itself that are going to be direct scenes from the show. So for example, we're going to see the super duper mart with these really demonic, scary looking creatures called the ghouls. We're also going to see a big monster on each coast, one of them being the a radioactive looking bear over at Hollywood, and over here we're going to get our own unique monster. You know, when it comes to puppetry, animatronics, giant animated figures, HHN does such an incredible job. But the best one that really stood out to us was that we're going to get a T-60 last battle moment, as we see in the very last scene on the first season of the series. And the way that that scene played out was so incredibly well done. And Pao and I, when we watched that scene with the ghoul and in the fight, and it's really dark, I don't want to spoil too much, but that scene alone has so much potential. So all in all, what we're saying is that while a lot of people are thinking, why the heck would Fallout even come? This is going to be one that really blows people's minds. Remember this, save it, bookmark it, because I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a sleeper.
We are cooking today. The real feel is 104 degrees. It is, folks, summer officially started yesterday, June 20th, and I'm telling you, the sun is not holding back. All right, before we move on to big prediction number 4, we've got to talk about something very important here, and that is the fact that Orlando officially has its first original house locked in for the season.
Yes, we're
El Artista, a Spanish haunting, and can I just say, start rolling those R's, baby.
Download Duolingo, start pronouncing those R's, because we need to hear it from you when you say El Artista is coming to HHN.
Spanish lessons start today. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, this house was revealed during the Spooky Empire panel where HHN creative minds were sitting and giving away a whole lot of details for this house. And I've got to say, the description alone is chilling.
amazing. In 19th century Spain, a tortured artist moves into an isolated country manor for inspiration, but the art comes alive and possesses him.
The house description is incredible, but the central figure, the main character of this story, is really what has our attention the most. So Sergio Navarro, I said it right? Navarro is a famed artist who is pretty much down on his luck, and he's looking for inspiration, so he moves into the woods. This is all happening during the 18th century Spain times, and he goes into something, moves into a Spanish manor called La Casa de Creación, or in other words, the creation house. And in there, he has no idea that this is filled with all kind of malevolent spirits from other artists who have moved in there from the past and are basically living inside of the manor, specifically in the conservatory. Now remember that word, because that is going to be a central part of this entire event.
Yes, and we're going to dive into that in just a minute.
Right, and in that conservatory itself, the spirits basically come to life, take over Sergio's mind, and force him to make paintings where these ghosts travel from the paintings into the real world, our world. They try to basically take us. So that, I mean that sounds so crazy.
It's like portals, it's like demonic, it's possession.
There's so much.
It's giving just old gothic HHN vibes. We are going back to our roots, literally and physically, metaphorically, punitively, all of it.
Are you gonna just say all the words?
All the words.
Now, also a cool thing about this is that the artist, el artista, was inspired by a real life artist called Francisco Goya, who, if you know anything about him, his art is very dark and very haunting. A couple of things about this house that really has me intrigued. Number one, the technology. This was all on Spooky Empire, by the way. Make sure you watch the panel if you haven't already right after this video.
You can find it online.
Now, number one, this house is going to feature a technology called the Pepper's Ghost Effect. So we're going to see basically ghosts appear before us. So it's going to be like a projection image that's going to show up in the house. We're going to see ghosts walking through walls and coming out of paintings.
Allegedly, according to the creatives. You may or may not, but allegedly.
Right, so that alone is incredible. And also the scenic designer, number two, that is behind this house. He was also the same guy who was behind Blood Moon Dark Offerings and A Dead Man's Pier. Which beautiful.
They are beautiful houses that have gone down as in HHN legend as some of the most beautiful houses that anybody has ever walked through. Yeah. I gotta tell you, my prediction, I'm gonna throw in this wasn't supposed to be a prediction, but my prediction here
I know, throwing a prediction on top of a prediction.
Yes, well, this is a video. I was about to say a movie. This is a video about predictions, and I gotta tell you, we don't know what the other original houses are, but this might be House of the Year. I am betting that they are putting a lot of work into this house, and which we are going to get into in just a little bit, but this house is going to play a central role in all of HHN 34. But that is something for a little bit down the road in this video. Now let's talk a little bit more about Sergio Navarro, because he is a central figure in this year's event, which we have heard from the panel at Spooky Empire that either he or his presence, they weren't 100% clear on that, but it will be felt.
Right.
The textures of his presence will be felt this year.
Begs the question, is he this year's
icon?
Right.
Now,
exactly.
I will say that this was a question that was asked at Spooky Empire, to which Michael Aiello, the Senior Director of Entertainment and Creative Development here in Orlando, he basically responded in saying that it is not going to be a stamp by the higher-ups of the HHN world, but rather a interpretation of whether we, the public, consider Sergio an icon.
So it is up to us to decide.
It is up to us. Do you consider Sergio to be this year's icon?
Let us know in the comments. I'm calling it right now. I have a feeling, or you know what? Forget the feeling. I'm calling him an icon right now. He is this year's icon, period.
Let us know if you are watching this video right now. We definitely want you to give us your opinion on that. And we are here at the World Expo section of the park, where there are 2 rigs right in the middle over here, which if you know anything about Halloween Horror Nights, you know that right down this section is where we will have 2 sprung tents, or we had 2 sprung tents last year housing 2 houses, which we will likely have this year again. Now we also have a couple of more rigs down this section in the old Fear Factor stage area. Now during Spooky Empire, Michael Aiello kind of like confirmed, not confirmed, that there will be some type of something coming up over here. We don't know if this is going to be Nightmare Fuel once again. He did mention that there's a new show director directing the maybe not maybe show that will be in this section. Will it be Nightmare Fuel? To be determined. I hope so, fingers crossed, but I am excited for whatever is to come for this section of the park. Now, this is not the only rigs left. There are still a couple of more, which we got to check out right now. And over here in the Harry Potter London Bridge section, we do have another rig, which most notably is the only one, I think, at this point, that has lights.
Make that 2 rigs in the Harry Potter section / opening to the San Francisco section as well. I can already see it lighting up this entire section over here with conservatory colors.
This is actually a huge prediction that we're about to drop on you right now.
Let's get to it. Prediction number 4 ties directly into what we were just talking about, and it is that the theming for this year's event will be one of the most memorable that we have ever witnessed at an HHN event.
Jot that down right now and keep us in mind. We have a feeling in our bones.
Right.
This is gonna be a good one.
The Universal Creative at Spooky Empire, Laura Souls, basically boiled down this event to one word to describe it. It is immersive.
And if you know anything about us, is that is our favorite word.
I jumped for joy. I basically did backflips, and you can tell how excited they are to put this together. Now, as we kind of already mentioned, that the conservatory from the theming of the house itself of El Artista is going to be seen throughout the entire event. We're going to see Gothic architectures. We're going to see gargoyles. We're going to see stained glass everywhere. And Laura Souls basically told us that the minute that we enter through those turnstiles, we're going to be hit with all of those textures and tones. And we kind of already seen some of this teased for us through every little teaser that we've gotten so far, where we see the conservatory with the red windows. And the biggest tease, of course, is now the 5 and Dime, where we have the
which
Spanish...
we talked about a little bit earlier, which we said we would get to it. We promised you, and we are getting to it right now. So if you're still around, like this video right now.
So we've already got all of that. And they said that this is going to be one long, cohesive story that plays throughout. It even has a beginning, middle, and end, according to Michael Aiello. So just one big, I mean, we've seen, kind of like you already mentioned this earlier, I believe, with Dr. Oddfellow, we kind of saw that, where we saw the story of Oddfellow play out a couple of years ago through every scare zone. But according to the way that they're describing it, it is like we're basically going to be walking through, the way I understand it, one big conservatory the entire time.
The entire HHN kind of like lives and breathes inside of this conservatory.
Through all of the scare zones, through every nook and cranny of this event, it is being described as literally one of the most immersive ever.
Literally.
So that is,
and this goes back to kind of what we were talking about, Sergio Navarro's role in the event as a whole, because now knowing this, we were told that very similar to Oddfellow, but not similar to Oddfellow, where we talked about how Oddfellow had different roles in each scare zone, not necessarily going to be the role here of Sergio Navarro, but his presence and the tones and the textures will be present. The fact that we're going back to a cohesive theme here at Halloween Horror Nights
makes it much so that much more exciting.
So much more exciting and memorable.
Super exciting.
I know we've joked about this many times in other videos before, but as we sit here on June 21st and we get closer and closer to construction season starting to pop up, as we've seen on other places of this park, these rigs are still here. Is it safe to assume that they're going to be staying up for the remainder of the season, moving into HHN season? I think so.
Stay tuned.
I think so. So I think we can count this as official HHN construction at this point. Let's just go ahead and call a spade a spade.
Let's get down to business with prediction number 5. This year we're going to see much younger and heavier crowds at the same time. Dare I say, one of the most heavy years for younger crowds ever at an HHN event. Now, I know you're thinking, Stranger Things did bring a big draw to the event with the younger crowds, but this year we've got Five Nights at Freddy's as an IP. Do know that it is coming in a brand whole new way that we've never seen before, and this is a huge year for Five Nights at Freddy's besides HHN. We've got a brand new game that was just released. We also got the second Blumhouse film that is coming out. So the promotion behind this is going to be insane. And on top of that, Michael Aiello on the panel for Spooky Empire teased that we're going to see the animatronics identical to what we see in the Blumhouse films. So you know that they're going to start promoting that like crazy. And being that the Blumhouse films are as popular as they are, we have the video game franchise that has multiple games, about 11 to 14 games alone. Lore like never before. The younger crowds are already getting super excited for it, and not just from what I've heard in the interwebs and read, but even from personal experience. People, my younger sibling is considering coming. People that I know personally, their younger siblings are coming, 14, 15-year-olds. So you're gonna see a lot of that coming to this year's event. You can bet on that. Ooh. We are currently making our way through the New York section of the park, and from what I can see, I don't see a single piece of construction here going on. Other than what's going on over there.
However, watch, we literally leave today.
I know.
And tomorrow.
I know. Watch, we're gonna post this video, and in the meantime, while Pao is editing, there's gonna be like 5 rigs that show up here. But at the time of filming, there's no official construction update. But I do want to point out one thing. The question is, will we see a tribute store come to this year's event over here on the New York section of the park? Because as you know, 9 out of 10 times, the tribute store for HHN does show up right here, right behind me in this building. And it is a big year for tribute stores because we're officially celebrating 10 years. The first one being during the HHN 25, the big Jack year, my favorite year of all time. So I can totally see them bring the tribute store in a whole new way. And based on what we've heard already about how this park is going to be super cohesive in the storyline, we might even see something that goes into that has to do with the conservatory. Who the hell knows? But honestly, I'm freaking excited. Do you think we're gonna get a tribute store here?
While I would love to see the tribute store here in New York, and it would feel very weird and off if it wasn't here in New York, if I turn you around over here, you're going to see that the walls for the construction, or shall I say the demolition of Rip Ride Rockit, RIP, they're here. And I mean, standing here now, I actually don't see how this would make it like a bottlenecky area. I thought that it was going to be a little bit more constricted.
No, I don't think so.
I could see folks walking in and walking out. Seems like the pathway here is pretty clear from like where you enter the tribute store and where you typically exit the tribute store. So I think that we'll have the tribute store in this area again, but nothing has been announced. But I do want to say, I wonder what's going to happen here when it comes to the houses in this section, because
there are a lot of questions that we have.
Even now it's all the way covered. It used to not be. This is something to definitely keep an eye on to see how this section and side of things is going to work this year. For that final point, we do need a little bit of energy here. Let's talk about this. I would say probably one of the most important points, because everybody always thinks that the closing weekend of HHN is the lightest weekend of HHN because it moves into the November timeframe. By this time, everybody's kind of gotten HHN out of their system. So a lot of people try to strategize and come for that final weekend of HHN. And we were even told before, oh, Halloween, final weekend, forget about it. Like usually it is empty, there's nobody here. I'm gonna tell you something. Last year, Halloween and closing weekend was one of the busiest weekends that we saw throughout the season, because Halloween landed on a Thursday last year, which meant that a lot of folks planned into the weekend of closing weekend. Now, this year, Halloween lands on a Friday. So what does that mean? It means that everybody who is really wanting to celebrate Halloween the right way is going to have HHN on their minds. And not just that, but the last time that Halloween landed on a weekend specifically, it was in 2021. It was HHN 30. And that was when Halloween landed on a Sunday, the final night of HHN. But the last time that Halloween was on a Friday, kicking off the weekend, that wasn't like till 2014. So it's been about 10, 11 years since Halloween was on a Friday. So I'm gonna tell you right now that I predict Halloween weekend is going to be the busiest weekend of HHN. Hands down. Those are our 6 big predictions as this event starts to fully take shape.
Absolutely.
And they may change, but I think that we're pretty solid on every. I think if anything, we will just add more predictions as we go, as more official announcements come through.
But more importantly, we want to know if you agree or if you have any predictions yourself.
Or if
Tell
you
us.
disagree, let us know
On top
why.
of that, right.
Let us know why. Now, we have a lot of fun things on the way. If you have been keeping up with HHN, we have a whole slew of HHN videos that we will be making throughout, leading up into the season, getting you ready, getting you hyped, talking all the fun things, construction, tips, tricks, everything that we've learned.
We're now under 70 days.
Yes.
So we're going into full force now that we're about to enter.
We also have a couple of other things if HHN is not your thing, so don't worry. Other things are also on the way, but if you're HHN, baby, we got some good stuff for you coming up. Thank you so much for watching. As always, we will catch you next week. Mwah, we love you. We'll see you then.